For those of you on BS3, you'll only see the initial hour and all kinds of stuff has gone haywire because Bill Schoening and the Spurs are waiting for me a little bit later. I'll explain it all when we get started, which is right about now. On your mark, get set. Let's go.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Mister, will you please wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up?
Good morning. Kevin Durant, you should have left California.
This Brownsexual upset me in having to bring this teenage idiot from Wisconsin into a sports conversation. Are you really surprised that the Cowboys are giving up on Ezekiel Elliott?
Whoa. Hell no! Well, no one cares about baseball.
Bitch, are you for real?
Oh, yeah. It's a late starting day, but I am suited and booted and ready for assignment. I know it's a crazy time, but I'll say my signature anyway. Good morning or good afternoon to a lot of people. Welcome to the late starting Manic Monday edition of Snowman in the Morning. Glad to have y'all with us. I greet you from Indianapolis, Indiana. Why am I here? I get to see the Spurs and the Pacers later on. So after I brought my daughter home, I decided to set up shop here in Indy, which is why the late start happened. This is the only day that Snowman in the Morning will start late if I happen to be on the road. I have to go to Chicago next month and Charlotte the month following. But whenever we go on the road, we will stick to our normal time because today has been nuts getting the equipment ready, microphones ready, and all that good stuff. Even the set came with me, and a big assist to my beauty, my honey, my baby, Jody Snow, for just having everything compact. She's on the road to Milwaukee. Do me a favor, keep her in your prayers as she had and give her safe travels to and from Milwaukee. Then she's got another assignment in Chicago. Man, there's a lot to get into, and there's a short amount of time to do it. So here's the whip around presented by Fanatic. Does the name Joshua Dobbs mean anything to you? Well, it may to Minnesota Vikings fans because Josh Dobbs didn't know any of his teammates, and yet he led them to a 31-28 walk-off win in Atlanta, which spurs the question brought on by my homie Antoine Smitty Smith from the Smitty Sports Machine, and he asked a very important question on Twitter. Is this finally the end for Arthur Smith? I don't think the Arthur Smith era should have begun, let alone come to an end. USC became the Grinch when they fired Alex Grinch. The defensive coordinator was let go after a disastrous performance against Washington where they surrendered 52 points and over 500 yards. And I will just say this out loud. That's just the first domino to fall in Southern California. Stroud, what can you say about this kid? He's growing up right before our eyes. Should have been the first pick of the Panthers. They weren't listening. They weren't watching. And CJ Stroud led the Houston Texans to a walk-off win over the Houston to a walk-off win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 39-37. CJ Stroud hit Tank Dell with 15 seconds remaining, thus the final score. What can you say about the miracle that is Damar Hamlin? He has launched a scholarship honoring the medical team that saved his life. He says, quote, "Last night I had dinner with my heroes, 10 of the UC medical staff that helped save my life. I surprised them with a scholarship named after each of them that will support youth in Cincy to chase their dreams. Wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them," close quote. Hamlin's Chasing M's Foundation will award $1,000 scholarships to 10 individuals from Cincinnati's underserved communities for the next 3 years. According to a news release, each of the individual scholarships will be named after the 10 first responders, nurses, and doctors who tended to Hamlin after he went into cardiac arrest on the field and was resuscitated during the Bills game at the Cincinnati Bengals on January 2nd. Bravo. Bravo. And I want to take a page out of that and do something of my own for the medical team that saved my life, part down in Durham, North Carolina, and part up here in Indianapolis, Indiana. When all the pieces come together, and I know my baby's going to have a lot to say about this and a lot to do with this, not only her, but all of my children, it's going to be something special. So Damar Hamlin, you've inspired a Snowman to take a page out of your book and help serve the community, especially of cancer survivors. When the details come, I will let y'all know. Donovan Mitchell scored 31 as the Cavaliers beat the Golden State Warriors 115-104, thus snapping a 16-game skid to the Golden State Warriors. What is it about teams snapping a 16-game skid? I mean, the Denver Broncos did it to the Chiefs, and now the Cavaliers do it to the Warriors. Oops. Speaking of oops, Deion Sanders says we just needed a change after the Colorado Buffaloes lost to Oregon State. They have gone 2-5 since their 2-0 start and are now in danger of not even making a bowl game after the season started with so much promise and so much hype. But this is only year one. Lots of improvements to be made in Boulder, Colorado. That, my friends, is the Whip Around presented by Fanatics. Them Eagles did it again to the Dallas Cowboys. And my buddy JB the Ticket from VSX, Vegas Scoreboard Express, asked me if I was going to take the points or lay the points. Well, by a slim margin, I laid the points. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more on the late arriving edition of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. We're back in a flash.
Hey, Eagles fan. Join my man Cool McCain and a host of others as they break down every single game, every single week in an objective manner, and also from a fan's perspective as well. Remember, this cast feels just like you. Nobody likes you. And you don't care. Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles Elite Podcast, every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and other podcast outlets.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. New Kids on the Block, New Edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
Ready to hang with some fellas who know football? Let's ride. LC Muscles 28.
I think they're the most overrated defense in the league.
Steel Sermon.
We did not trail for a single second.
Tiny Tim.
McCarthy is a bonehead.
A Pistol 90.
I'm going with my boys. Fins up, baby.
Get ready for the Four Horsemen of Pick'ems. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on YouTube. Poppy J.
You got the option to cry for the government. You got the option to protest. You got the option to keep buying. But this is also an option.
Wise El Jefe.
We're the first tech geeks. We're the first gamers. We're the first everything. Everything. Like Gen X's, we are the ones.
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Poppy J and Wise El Jefe, Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Eagles fan. Join my man Cool McCain and a host of others as they break down every single game, every single week in an objective manner, and also from a fan's perspective as well. Remember, this cast feels just like you. Nobody likes you. And you don't care. Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles Elite Podcast. Every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and other podcast outlets.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. You kids on the block. New edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
Ready to hang with some fellas who know football? Let's ride. LC Muscles 28.
I think they're the most overrated defense in the league.
Steel Sermon.
We did not trail for a single second.
Tiny Tim.
McCarthy is a bonehead.
A Pizzle 90.
I'm going with my boys. Fins up, baby.
Get ready for the Four Horsemen of Pick'ems. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on YouTube. Poppy J.
You got the option to cry for the government. You got the option to protest. You got the option to keep buying, but this is also an option.
Wise El Jefe.
We're the first tech geeks. We're the first gamers. We're the first everything. Everything. Like Gen X's, we are the ones.
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Poppy J and Wise El Jefe. Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Welcome back. As I messed up my set yet again. I gotta get a better set. I gotta get a better set, and I will. Welcome back to Indianapolis, Indiana. Wise is the first one in. He says, "Good morning. Good morning to you." Victor Lock-in next from Chicago. Good morning to one and all. I'll just lie down on the ground and y'all can go ahead and get to kicking. Also, good luck to Snowman on his mission in Indianapolis. Thank you, kind sir. He greeted me, Victor did, with a text this morning as I was bringing Sonya home. He says, get suited and booted and go kick ass. I absolutely will. Also, good morning to the wise man, the Deacon that defends himself, DOD, the Minnesota Vikings fan and insider extraordinaire. He says, it means something to me. Skol Vikings. Thank you. Thank you for coming on this afternoon. I love the whip around. It's an idea that I came up with and Cole perfected. I saw that. Good man, DeMar Hamlin. How about them Cowboys? We will get to the Cowboys in just a few moments. He says, go ahead, DOD, get your kicks in. And of course, the Deacon's laughing. Danny Fuller said, did I finally make it live? Yes, you did, my friend. Yes, you did. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of this month. Big Cos greets us from across the way. He says, hello, Snowman crew. Hello to you as well. Now, what? How about them Cowboys? They went down to the Philadelphia Eagles again. 28-23 is the final score, or was the final score yesterday in Philadelphia. Eagles 8-1. Cowboys are now 5-3, tied with the 49ers for the third best record in the NFC. And this is what we had talked about on Friday when we made our picks, me, Victor, and Mike Debate. It's a case of feast or famine when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. Give an example. They blow out the New England Patriots, who are a shell of themselves, 38-3. The following week, they go to San Francisco and get blown to smithereens, 42-10. Then they go they host the Los Angeles Rams and beat them down. And then coming up against a playoff team when they had several chances to walk off and win the game, they did not. I mean, what can you say? I know Victor told me the stats this morning when we had our morning meeting while I was on the road driving. Yeah, the stats look good. Okay. Don't get it twisted. The stats look good. But when it came down to it, Dak did not. You know, they're saying we're going to see them again. You're only going to see them one more time, and that's in Dallas. And there may be a playoff spot on the line for the Cowboys, or the end of their season may come to pass. But right now, it's all about the Philadelphia Eagles. Mr. McCain is with us. Fly, Eagles, fly indeed, my friend. But I have this to say about the Philadelphia Eagles. When you have a team down 28-17, and the Cowboys were reeling when they got down 2 scores in the third quarter, that's the time you needed to run the ball and put them out of their misery. Instead, an exchange of punts, some foolish penalties by the Eagles, especially on the final drive, that took the Cowboys from their own 14 to the Philadelphia 14. A sack and a penalty moved them back a bit. And the last play of the game was a pass to CeeDee Lamb. And CeeDee Lamb came up 5 yards short. In situations like that, and I know Cool McCain is going to break this all down on Wednesday on the Eagles Elite podcast, you got to put them away. You know, Cool McCain said play calling has been piss poor. It's something that on offense, it's something that you've said all season, Mr. McCain. And we saw it after the Eagles took an 11-point lead. Why were the Eagles so conservative on offense? Why were the Eagles so conservative on offense? I mean, you finally, and I will keep highlighting this, you finally get the bell cow running back you're looking for that you haven't had in a few years in DeAndre Swift. And essentially the second half, they didn't use him. Not the way that they could have used him to really put the game away, because there should have been 35 points scored by the Eagles at least. That should have been 35-17 or 35-23. Instead, you allowed Dallas to have life in the game still all the way to the end. And were it not for a great play by your defense, which is getting worn out, your defense is getting, Mr. McCain, your Eagles defense is getting worn out, having to save the Eagles game after game after game after game. Minnesota, hello. All right, that should have been a blowout, but it wound up being 34-28. The offense has got to be consistent. Okay, the offense has got to get consistent first and foremost, and they got to stay consistent. McCain says, no bragging, we survived. That's absolutely right. You survived. Salute to y'all. But you can't allow teams that you are superior against and have been superior against to creep back in the ball game when you have them down 2 scores. And that was 3/4 of the way through the third period. You had them down 28-17. And then it just seemed like, to me, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. McCain, it just seemed like, to me, the offense shut off. They said, okay, we're up 11. we can rely on our defense to carry us the rest of the way. No, you got to go score more points. This is a Dallas team that loves to score points. Can't play defense worth a damn, but they love scoring points. So it's got to come down to the point where, yeah, you have more points than them, but A, how did you get it? And B, how tired is your defense? How tired was your defense coming off the field yesterday? There were 3 chances that the Eagles had to put the Cowboys away, and one score, be it a field goal or a touchdown, would have put them away. But you let them back in the game. And Cool talked about this on the Eagles pregame Sunday afternoon. Cool and the bunch talked about not letting the Cowboys in the game, because Dallas had all sorts of swag when they were up 14-7, and they led at halftime 17-14. Eagles snatched the lead 21-17 in the third quarter, tack on another touchdown in the third period, and then it just seemed like the fountain of offense shut off. I'll ask again, Mr. McCain, and to Eagles Nation, am I wrong? Am I wrong? Because that's how I saw it. They got to 28 points, and then they just slammed on the brakes. That shouldn't happen, especially when we're talking about the defending NFC champions. When you're talking about the defending NFC champions, and you're talking about a team that basically ran roughshod over everybody in the NFC last year to get to the Super Bowl, and they're not doing it this year, there's a problem. Danny Fuller says not one deserves to participate in the Super Bowl. Oh, a couple of them do. I beg to differ. There's a couple of them, Eagles being one, that deserve to participate in the Super Bowl. The Cowboys are not one of them. Matter of fact, I will say this loss, unless the Cowboys put a winning streak together against whomever they play down the stretch, they're going to miss the playoffs. Matter of fact, let's do some live research and let's look up the Cowboys schedule, shall we? Because I just don't think that the Cowboys are built to make the playoffs after this very, very devastating loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. You got the Giants next. Then you go to Carolina. I could be wrong. You got the Giants next. You host the Giants. Then you go to Carolina. Well, I could totally be wrong, because the December 10th and 17th, after they possibly could win their next 4, Giants, Giants, Panthers, Redskins, and Seahawks could put the Cowboys in the driver's seat. And you're right, Cool. The new OC has to get it together. Absolutely, he has to. Absolutely, he has to. Because after you see the Seahawks on November 30th, and I believe that's a Monday night game, you see the Eagles again on Sunday Night Football. Then you go to Buffalo to play the Bills. Then you go to Miami on Christmas Eve to play the Dolphins. Then you host the Detroit Lions again on Monday Night Football. And those 4 games right there could easily wipe out the 4 you're scheduled to win. Giants, Panthers, Redskins, Seahawks. The Eagles, the Bills, the Dolphins, the Cowboys, and the Redskins again could wipe out. It could wipe out what little progress, and yes, I said little, the Cowboys make. Because how's everybody else going to perform in the NFC? How's everybody else going to do? The Eagles are 8-1 right now. They are far and away the best team in the NFC. They got a lot to clean up, but they are far and away the best team in the NFC. Period, point blank, end of story. And as far as the Cowboys are concerned still, Why are you leaning on Dak Prescott? Matter of fact, I'll give you a better question. And Victor posed it to me this morning. Why did you put Ezekiel Elliott at center on the last play of the game in the division playoffs last year? I will not play that clip, Victor, I promise. And then you allowed him to walk? When I asked that, Victor countered with this question, and it's a very good one. Would you want to be a part of this team after being thrown to the wolves at center on the last play of the game? And the 49ers gifted you a timeout to think about it. To just think about it and say, okay, we need to come up with something better. So far, the Cowboys haven't come up with anything better. I hate to say it, but they haven't come up with anything better. They just haven't. They're still the same old Cowboys. And they're not quite the same old Eagles. But what I love about this team is that they're starting to figure it out. What they need to figure out very quickly is the fact that you have a superior running game. When you went up 28-17, that should have been DeAndre Swift time for the rest of the game. That should have been DeAndre Swift time. Sam and I talked about this on Friday when I had him with me. That should have been DeAndre Swift. That should have been DeAndre giving the Cowboys, bad pun coming, a swift kick in the ass. Even my wife's laughing at that one. But in all seriousness, that should have been DeAndre Swift time. It wasn't. But you got to thank the Cowboys for shrinking once again in crunch time like they always do. Let's go back to the 90s with the Dallas Cowboys that were led by Jimmy Johnson, not the 90s teams that were led by Barry Switzer, because Barry Switzer was a puppet. All right? He just got lucky in 1995. Jimmy Johnson wanted to step on your throat. When he put that team together and was getting more notoriety than Gerald, he had the attitude that he brought from Miami that he wanted to step on your throat. He wanted to step on your throat, man. Where's that attitude with the Cowboys? Because it has not been there for a while. It just hasn't been there. Okay? It just hasn't been there. And it hasn't been there for almost 30 years. And you're coming up on year 29 of not making the NFC Championship. And in the midst of year 29 of not making the NFC Championship, it just may come down to the point where you don't even make the playoffs. Let me go through this schedule again. Okay? I know I brought all my toys with me up here to Indianapolis. The next 4 games for the Cowboys: Giants, Panthers, Redskins, Seahawks. All 4 of them are very winnable games. And while we're talking about schedules, let's look at the next 4 for the Philadelphia Eagles. They're sitting at 8-1 right now. A Super Bowl rematch against the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Then they host Buffalo. Then they get the 49ers, and then they go to Dallas. 3 of those 4 are winnable. Matter of fact, I will tell you, all 4 of these are going to be a dogfight. The Eagles have 4 dogfights on their hands. But here is the significant difference between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. The Eagles have been there lately and have done that. The Cowboys, not so much. Take a pause for a break. When we come back, it may be afternoon, but I had to get some coffee on the way here, and we're going to sip a lot more coffee. The CFL Division Finals have been set. The Jets are hosting the Chargers, and a whole lot more. The afternoon edition of Snowman in the Morning continues from Indianapolis, Indiana, in a deuce.
everything Boston. I love you morons. New Kids on the Block, New Edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
Ready to hang with some fellas who know football? Let's ride. LC Muscles 28.
I think they're the most overrated defense in the league.
Steel Sermon.
We did not trail for a single second.
Tiny Tim.
McCarthy is a bonehead.
A Pizzle 90.
I'm going with my boys. Fins up, baby.
Get ready for the Four Horsemen of Pick'ems. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on YouTube. Poppy J.
You got the option to cry for the government. You got the option to protest. You got the option to keep buying, but this is also an option.
Wise El Jefe.
We're the first tech geeks. We're the first gamers. We're the first everything. Everything. Like Gen X's, we are the ones.
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Bobby J and Wise El Jefe, Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Man, it was a haul and a half getting here to Indianapolis, especially with all the stuff that's with me, the lights, the microphone, and the boom and everything. And I don't know how I got all this stuff in my trunk, including my monitors. But through my wife's suggestion, she says, don't use the laptop, bring the big boy with you, since you're gonna have to come back anyway, and it's gonna be at night, because when I come back from here in Indy, gotta take my daughter to work, gotta play daddy, and I love being a dad. I absolutely love it. All right, enough yapping. I got someone waiting for me, and it is, give me this. And thank you to my honey Jody for this. It is time to sip some coffee. Man, we got a lot to get to. Ryan McCoffey now joins us. How are you, my friend? Great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And just want to show up a t-shirt I'm wearing this afternoon.
Let's see it. The Firebirds.
Go Birds, go.
The Firebirds.
These birds, not the eagle.
Yeah. But. Yeah. You know, I want to get a shirt of every AFL team that's back. You know, I want to get a shirt of every AFL team that I used to watch: Iowa Barnstormers, Arizona Rattlers, Albany Firebirds, and I love both the Firebirds logos and both the Firebirds helmets that they have.
If my buddy Jeff Levac, team president, is hearing me, retro night. We need a retro night with the retro helmets, the Zubaz uniforms. Bring it all back, baby. Come on, let's go.
Got to have that. Got to have that. Ryan McCarthy joining us here as he does every Monday. All right. The CFL division finals are set, and one is a rematch. It's kind of the one that they're both rematches. That's right. They're both rematches. Let's start in Toronto, and they're both on Saturday this year, as we've talked about before. 3 p.m. Eastern, the Montreal Alouettes take on the Toronto Argonauts. nothing against the Alouettes, but good luck. Good luck stopping this crew.
And I'm an Alouettes fan too.
Right.
So it's gonna be a chore. It's gonna be a chore. I'm looking forward to it. Look, the Alouettes haven't beaten any of the good teams this year. They have not beaten Winnipeg. They have not beaten BC. They have not beaten Toronto.
No.
Playoffs are a different animal. Anything
Different.
can happen in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to this game in a sense that I want to see which Alouettes team is going to come out. Is the team is going to be the stout team on defense last week when they clamped down on the Hamilton Tiger Cats? Or are we going to see the imitation Alouettes from the past, or the imitation of what their team should be, which is run the ball heavy, get some chunk plays when they can, especially from their receivers, Austin Mack, Tyler Snead, Williams hitting the ball, Williams Stanback.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what they're going to have to do to beat Toronto is keep the ball out of the hands of Chad Kelly. If you keep the ball, if you win the time of possession game, I think Alouettes have a chance. But
Easier
on the flip
said.
side,
yeah.
On the flip side, Toronto's defense is pretty good too.
Yep. I think Toronto had one of the top 3 defenses in the CFL, if memory serves me correct, this year, because I don't think they allowed a 30-point game this year. I do not think they allowed 30 points.
Well,
wait a minute, I take that back. Yes, they did. They allowed one. They allowed one 30-point game, but it was a shootout. It was a shootout, and I want to say it was Calgary that gave them that 30-point game, but I believe that's the only one they allowed. Keep the ball out of Kelly's hands. Let me see. The Jets had that problem keeping the ball out of Jim Kelly's hands. So now you have.
Can we not bring up the past? Come on.
You said Kelly, all right? I'm making. What number do they both wear?
Yeah, I know. Toronto allowed over more than 30 points 4 times.
4 times. Okay. All right. Live research.
2 were wins, 1 was losses. Live real-time research. RTR.
Real-time research. You got to get a sponsor for that, and I think we can. But aside of keeping the ball out of Chad Kelly's hands, what else can the Alouettes do to score an upset in what is going to be a loud, full, raucous BMO Field? Because the Great Cup goes through Toronto this year. They had the best record.
Oh, absolutely. No, I don't disagree there. And have you seen the highlights of the 1-yard pooch kick that they do? When it's second and long, and they do that play. They do that screen out to the backwards pass out to the running back, and he just punts on the ground for 1 yard, recovers it, new set of downs. Brilliant.
Yep.
I gotta give full credit to Jason Moss for putting it in. I don't know if it was Jason Moss or a special teams coach for implementing that, but that's a brilliant play. It's a brilliant play. I mean, Branch Rickey said it best. Luck is the residue of design.
Yes.
They're going to need some luck. I would say the Alouettes are going to need some luck. Yeah, because they're playing a team that absolutely pounded them into the ground 3 different times this year.
And each one got worse.
Every single time. But again, this is the playoffs. This is a new season. I mean, Toronto's coming off what? Most of their starters are coming off
2 weeks of rest.
3 weeks of rest.
Three.
3 weeks of rest, but including the bye. They earned to get to the first to get to the championship game. So the East championship game. So I think
even in the game against Ottawa that they won by 5, most of their starters rested.
Yeah. So I think if the Alouettes come out quick and Toronto can't get a rhythm going, this game's going to be a lot closer than you think, and a lot closer than a lot of people think. I don't know what the odds are right now. If there's a line.
All right, real-time research coming. Here
we go. I have to imagine the spread isn't more than is probably it's probably going to be no more than 8.5.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I imagine. I don't know for sure. So, Brian will check it. Brian will
I'm
check
checking it. I'm checking this out now.
Yeah,
but I don't think it'll be more than 8 either.
No, I'll be surprised if it's more than 8.5.
But considering the fact that it is Toronto and everyone's expected the Toronto Argonauts to just bowl over the Alouettes to win the East, and not seeing the spread isn't out yet. The live spread isn't out yet. I'll still look, but 8.5 seems like the best number that would come out between these two, because as you said, it's the playoffs. It's a different animal.
Yeah.
And it's a rematch.
Yeah.
It's a rematch from last year's game.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of rematch and speaking of animals, you got these two renewing acquaintances again. I believe this is the third straight year?
Second consecutive year, yeah.
Second consecutive year.
Yeah.
And it's at IG Field.
IG Field.
Yeah. Zach Collaros is Zach Collaros. Dalton Schoen is Dalton Schoen.
Mm-hmm.
And you got and they all the Bombers have to do is hold down a choppy BC offense, which can do what it did last week and ring up 41 points.
Yeah, I wasn't shocked, but I was also I thought Calgary could have kept that game a lot closer.
Yeah,
I honestly did, especially coming off, especially the first drive. It took only 3 plays to get a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, all right, they can get if they can manage to get one forced. They forced a 2-and-out against BC on BC's first possession of the game.
Matter of fact,
and they were driving.
The first possession, they picked him off. That one of the possessions in the first half.
It was Calgary's second drive. It was Calgary's second drive. They picked off Jake Mayer and they didn't look back. They scored a touchdown the next 4 possessions.
And that was that.
That was that. That was that.
And that was that. You can't. You know, what does BC? I ask this. I ask this, and I'll ask this of BC. What can Vernon Adams and BC do to score what could be a monumental upset? Because BC hasn't won the Grey Cup, if my memory serves me correct, since 2011. And they won it at home.
And they beat Peg.
And they beat the Bombers.
Yeah.
They beat the Bombers by 11. 34-23 was that score. But how do they pull this one off?
Got to do the same thing. Got to do the same thing as they did last week. They got to make sure Vernon's got to cook. Vernon Adams reminds me a lot of a younger version of Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
He can run the ball. He can throw. He throws great passes. When he's on, he's on. When he's in the zone, he's locked in. I mean, we saw it on Saturday. If you watched that game, I listened to the game on my way to my co-host Dustin. Shout out to Dustin, by the way. He was able to meet his goal and then some for the local children's hospital through Extra Life. So shout out to Dustin. Congratulations, buddy.
That is fabulous. That is
fabulous. But I think if the Lions can duplicate what they did last week, force turnovers from the Stampeder, force turnovers from the Bombers, limit them to field goals, not touchdowns, and Vernon Adams just plays his game like he did so effectively on Saturday afternoon or Saturday night, I think you see BC go to the Grey Cup. On the flip side of things, Bombers got to do what the Bombers got to do. Yeah, we've seen it all season from them. Zach Collaros has those big chunk plays. Brady Oliveira, who there's a little bit of controversy in Winnipeg right now as to who the most outstanding player was supposed to be for their team. The writers picked Brady Oliveira over Zach Collaros, but Oliver had a great
Give it
season.
to,
I
you
believe
could give it to anybody on that team. I mean, who's
could.
complaining? You could give it to anybody on that team. 14-4 again, and then they host the Western Division final, and they see an old friend in BC. You can give that team MVP to anybody.
Yeah. I think this game comes down to the last. I think it comes down to the last 3 minutes. Honestly, I think it. I mean, from what I saw in the, I just actually just checked the weather for Saturday in Winnipeg. It's supposed to be a really nice day, so there won't be no weather. I don't think there's going to be any weather related conditions that's going to really force anybody to change their game. It's going to be a really nice afternoon / into the evening in Winnipeg, and I think it's going to be a high scoring. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. It's going to come down to the last 3 minutes, and I won't give my prediction. I won't give any predictions.
Nor will I.
I think we'll save it. We'll save it for Saturday when we do our alternative play-by-play together.
Yep.
But I think this game comes. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I won't be surprised if both teams went up in the 30s. And I just think it's going to come down to the last 3 minutes.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 40-point game.
Yeah,
with the way these two offenses move.
Mm-hmm.
This could be BC and Miami from '84 all over again. You just tell the defenses, we got this. And whoever makes the final stop of the game or has the final possession of the game wins the game. Yep. Because when these two teams get together, crazy stuff happens. Doesn't matter if it's BC, doesn't matter if it's in Winnipeg. And the last couple of West Finals in Winnipeg, weather was involved. Not Saturday.
It's going to
be
nice,
nice
clear, sunny day.
Not this Saturday. Now to the feature. And cringe, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Chargers and the Jets tonight.
Cringe.
Chargers are favored by 3. I didn't get a chance to correct this. But
you did that on purpose. You did that on purpose. You put San Diego there. You did that on purpose. Don't lie.
You're darn right I did. You're darn right I did.
Hey, Victor, is your cat detection tool going off, buddy? I'm just kidding.
No, because it's blunt. No, because with this, I think I've blown it to smithereens already.
Oh, it's over.
It's done.
Remember, kids, turn your alarms back this weekend and replace the batteries in your cap detection tool. So don't
and if you have more than one, change them all because it's necessary.
8:15
kickoff in the Meadowlands. San Diego favored by 3, but Brendan Staley is their coach.
He sure is. Why are the Chargers favored in this game?
Why are the Chargers favored in this? I mean,
I have no idea. Because it's the Jets. That's why. Because it's the Jets. because the odds makers hate the Jets with a white hot burning passion of 1,000 supernovas. That's what it is.
He said 1,000 supernovas.
Yep, sure did. Quote me on that.
Gladly.
They also hit the fact that Aaron Rodgers. They hit the fact that Aaron Rodgers isn't there. Zach Wilson's playing quarterback. He's doing what? Look, you can talk all this talk about Zach Wilson, especially after last week's game, which was hot garbage, and then some. Hopefully, this week it's not hot garbage, and they'll come out of the gates flying. I know the San Diego has this 20. I think it's what's a 25th ranked passing defense in all of football. Their pass rush is okay, which to me kind of frightens me because it's the Chargers. It's the pass rush, and plus the Jets offensive line. My God,
do you see how
back to the same problem? It's the same problem again. It's patchwork. The one thing about Joe Douglas. He's hit on all the draft. He's hit on most of his draft picks, with the majority of his draft picks. 2020 outstanding, but he just can't seem to get the offensive line right in terms of health.
Why do you think that is? Since we're talking about Joe, why do you think that is? Why can't he hit on offensive linemen rather?
I have to wonder if he misjudges talent. Now, granted, Mekhi Becton has had an outstanding year so far. Had a bad game last week against the Giants. I think a lot of it had to do with the bye week. The Jets are, for some reason, under Robert Saleh, they are super slow out of the gate when it comes to the bye week. Happened last year, happened last week, and I'll say it: the Jets got lucky last week. I'm still in shock that they won that game.
You're in shock.
And I mean, Giants fans still in shock. And oh my God. Oh, Daniel Jones out for the year, by the way. Torn ACL.
Torn ACL. Torn ACL.
I feel for any Giants fan, Wise El Jefe included.
Me too. I feel for the Giants. I feel for Wise Giants fans to see this happen again at the quarterback position. And yes, I say again, because if you go back to 1990, they've had injury problems at the quarterback position. Remember, tail end in 90, they lost Phil Simms.
Yep.
They lost Phil Simms.
Jeff
Hostetler took him to the Super Bowl. Granted, got him a contract with the Raiders that he wasn't able to do anything with after 1993. But it just seems like when Daniel Jones was drafted, which got all sorts of boos, and last year he took him to the playoffs, took him to a playoff win, and then Philadelphia happened. They pay him. And then this happens. I mean, how much bad luck can one guy have?
It's astounding. I mean, look, Eli Manning didn't have that many injuries when he was a Giant.
No, Eli Manning was quite dependable.
Yesterday's injury was just he planted his foot incorrectly and he just went down. And what you can't blame the turf there because they play on natural grass at Legion Stadium.
It's natural grass out in Vegas.
Yeah. So it's just you plant your foot wrong, and you turn it just a tiny bit just to kind of get things going, and all of a sudden pop.
El Snapo.
Yeah.
El Snapo.
And the next play he goes back to pass in the pocket and he just falls down. And gets touched by Max Crosby, and that's it. Over. I wonder who the Giants are going to sign as kind of Tyrod Taylor's on the IR, which means Tommy DeVito is your quarterback
for the time being, and I put that in quotes for right now.
A Giants fan, Carson Wentz is available. And yes, I'm saying this with a straight face. Carson Wentz is available.
I'm going to try to say this with a straight face. Hey, Giants fan, Matt Ryan's available. Well, not anymore. He's in the booth. He never filled out the retirement paper, so he's still eligible. True. He's still eligible. But why would you want to take a chance? And right now, with your suggestion of Carson Wentz, every Giants fan is thinking this. Got me
If I smoked blunts, I'd take one out right now and light one up.
Can y'all imagine Ryan McCoffey doing that?
Oh my gosh. Mia Toker. Ooh, that's a rough life right there. I don't know.
Mia Toker. Good grief. I've never experimented with it. I never will. Had a few beers in my lifetime. I have a bunch of coffee left in my lifetime. Thank the Lord for that. Speaking of which, what was your brew today?
I had the pecan pumpkin from Invader Coffee. I got to order more. Actually, their Christmas flavors are coming out soon. I can't wait. Some of their best coffees are there too. So.
Me neither.
So before we go on to dovetail to the next issue, to the next thing on the slate, I just want to mention a couple things. Number one, I'm gonna get A Pizzle. If A Pizzle's watching, you're gonna be riled up. I don't care.
Oh no.
The Miami Dolphins. I compared this I put this on Twitter yesterday. I put this in the old social medias yesterday. I didn't get any reactions because probably don't want to listen to me. But have you noticed there's a correlation between these Miami Dolphins and the Detroit Lions of the 1990s with the run and shoot offense?
Yep.
where they absolutely clobber the teams that are complete garbage. But when it comes to teams that are of higher quality and better coaching, they collapse.
It's like the Cowboys. I swear to you, it's like the Cowboys. It's feast or famine. And after that 70-point, I'll say it plainly, forgive me, ass whooping that they put on Denver, but by God, it's Denver.
It's Denver.
It's Denver.
Oh, to be fair, Denver's played a lot better since.
I believe that when I see it. I mean, I ain't sold on them playing better.
They beat the Chiefs.
Chiefs beat themselves. I went back and watched the game. Mahomes was just so uncharacteristically off in that game.
So that's my one observation. So yeah, that's my one observation. But the Dolphins, I can't respect you as a Super Bowl contender until, and I'm not saying this as a Jets fan. I'm saying this as an observer of football.
Same.
All right.
Same.
Second, yeah, I can't respect them. I can't take them seriously as a Super Bowl or playoff contender until they beat a team that has a record of above 500.
Which means they're going to have problems facing the Buffalo Bills again in their own division.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they got they play the Jets on Black Friday.
And they play the Jets on Black Friday, which means 2 consecutive L's in the division. Speaking of which, Connor Bedard and the Blackhawks got doubled up by McCarthy's Devils last night. 4-2 was the final in the United Center, but we saw 2 very big stars go at it last night in the UC. And I'm going to put a prediction on top of all predictions out there. Do not be surprised. Within 3 years' time, these 2 are playing for a big fat trophy.
I wouldn't be surprised either. And look, this is the Devils team that won without their 2 best players. Jack Hughes, who's week to week with an upper body injury. Hopefully he gets better. Hopefully
I hope so.
And Nico Heischer, who's day to day with an upper body injury. So I'm hoping he returns to the lineup next week. But yeah, this was I watched the most of the good majority of the second period, and I got said Blackhawks are a tough team to play.
Yeah, this is a future Stanley Cup. Within 3 years, this is a Stanley Cup final. Within 3 years, all the same thing the Blackhawks did when they drafted Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane. They got to do the same with Connor Bedard and company. They have to find some more consistent goaltending. You know how I feel about goal. You know how I feel about goaltending. When we had Corey, hell, I'll go back as far as I started watching hockey. When we had Murray Bannerman, Eddie the Eagle Belfour, Corey Crawford from the Stanley Cup era, Anthony Niemi, who got his first Stanley Cup with the Blackhawks in 2010.
Yep.
Goaltending has been one of the calling cards for the Blackhawks, and they have to find it.
Don't forget Nikolai Habibulin was with
Nikolai Habibulin. Yep. Nikolai Habibulin was with this as well. That's got to be the solution for both teams. They got to get some. Oh my gosh. And the Dominic Hasek, where are you?
Yeah. Somewhere in Czechia doing something.
What happened to the days of Dominic Hasek and Eddie the Eagle Belfour, going at it?
Oh, they're coming back.
I hope so. But I'm laying this prediction out there. It won't be long before these 2 are entertaining each other in the Stanley Cup final. I see it coming. And you can see it with the let's start with the Blackhawks. They're going to be the same, if not better, than the dynasty team. They just got to fill in some blanks on a couple of the different lines. They have the replacement for Taves, of course, is Connor Bedard. Now they have to find the piece that'll be Patrick Kane. They have to find the piece that'll be Duncan Keith, Brett Seabrook. They got a couple in their farm system. They got to get them some playing time. Meanwhile, for the Devils, you got Jack Hughes, as you mentioned. They got to to solidify the 3rd and 4th lines, because if you take a look at last night's game, the time where the Blackhawks felt like they could get back in it was during the time the Devils had their third and fourth lines on the ice. So you got to get solid on all four lines. And again, it goes back to what we talked about a moment ago. The goaltending has got to be solved for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, there's one guy I kind of have my radar. He was mentioned last night in the game, was Kevin Korchinski. I believe he's a rookie this year. He's only 19 years old, but I think he's going to be your Duncan Keith or Keith Seabrook. Duncan Keith or
Brett Seabrook.
Brett Seabrook. Thank you. I couldn't think of the name for the first name for a second, but yeah, he's going to be one of your guys. You just need to find that other pillar of the defense. Who's going to be there.
Because for the longest time, Duncan, I think 16 years, Duncan Keith was just it for us on defense. Duncan Keith was our anchor on defense. They get a couple of more of those anchors, and watch out. Don't be surprised if it comes down to the last day when we see the Blackhawks either get left behind in the playoffs or they sneak in. It's going to come down to the last day. The way they're playing right now, the way they're playing with this much energy, there's so many games that they've lost, and the only blowout was against Arizona in Phoenix. That's the only blowout they've had on their record so far. Every other game they've been in, and they own a victory over the Vegas Golden Knights in Vegas. They own an overtime victory, which is giving them a ton of confidence right now. So it'll come down to the last day, but I think the Hawks can sneak into the Western playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, wild card spot is is always a wild card.
It is.
I mean, the West is so good though, with so many good teams. But I think this year
they are so stacked. Colorado, Vegas, Dallas. Oh my gosh.
San Jose.
San Jose.
Sorry, I'm just kidding. They allowed 10 goals in consecutive games.
Figure that out, folks.
Vancouver's coming around. They're starting to
the Vancouver Canucks are back.
Yeah,
you need to bring back the old uniforms. They bring back the old uniforms. I like the old ones better than the ones they have now.
The orange skate.
Yep, the orange and black skate. All right, headed for the second hour. That's Ryan McCoffey joining us, talking all kinds of stuff, including hockey. And yes, we talk hockey on this program.
Wait, a black man talking hockey? All right, I'll wait.
I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I was not ready. Shame on me. I brought everything. I queued it all the way up and hit it.
Wait. A black man talking hockey?
Always have to work that in. Thank you, brother.
I
love you very, very much. I can't wait to team up with you on Saturday. Thanks, my friend.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Snowman.
Halftime. Back after this.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
If you talk, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So tell me here, you can do it if you try.
He was only 58 years old when he passed away. That outcome could have been different.
Colorado happens to be one of the worst states for radon levels.
It's in our ground, and it seeps up.
The more you breathe radon, the more chance you have of DNA being hit and the cell mutated. The EPA estimates 22,000 lung cancer deaths a year caused by radon.
We all make choices. When it comes to alcohol, kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Have fun. Hey, have a seat for a second. Remind me about that party again?
Alex is just...
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. They want guidance and honest answers to their questions. And it makes a difference when the message is consistent and part of everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
I'm back. And you're seeing a shot of Market Square Arena, the old one in Indianapolis, Indiana, which is where I come to you from today. Well, the Cincinnati Bengals beat the Buffalo Bills again. Hour 2 of Snowman in the morning is here. But to break up things and have a few seconds, about 95 of them off sports, remember this.
Bro, you walk through this office building every day. You know what the fire alarm look like. I don't want to hear that.
What
my is wrong? Like you got. I wish you had that button right now.
Got me up.
With this bull. You got a mother thinking from New York can't read. Don't know red means fire alarm. Like you seen it says don't pull or pull in case of emergency. There was no emergency. Like oh my god.
Keep
cooking.
No,
because this dude is really a yo.
Keep cooking.
I'm wondering why you even brought this up, man. Like this is not news. This is not news. This is some stupid trying to make a power play, and he came out looking like a dumb. This is all that is. Let me try to delay this phone. I'm late. Negro, put up. You need to speed up your watch or something, or put your alarm set so you can leave 20 minutes earlier. I don't know, but pull a fire alarm. Yo, you were just giving New Yorkers a bad name with this dumb, stupid. Like really.
Oh my gosh. The incomparable Wise. I gotta see that again, don't you?
Hey, bro, you walk through this office building every day. You know what the fire alarm look like. I don't want to hear that.
What my
is wrong? Like you got. I wish you had that button right now.
Got me up.
With this bull. You got a mother thinking from New York can't read. Don't know red means fire alarm. Like you seen it says don't pull or pull in case of emergency. There was no emergency. Like Oh my God.
Oh, keep
Let me calm
cooking.
down.
Oh,
Let me calm
no,
down.
no,
Let me calm
no,
down.
no,
Keep
keep
because
cooking.
this dude is really a yo.
Keep cooking.
I'm wondering why you even brought this up, man. Like this is not news. This is not news. This is some stupid trying to make a power play, and he came out looking like a dumb. This is all that is. Well, let me try to delay this phone. I'm late. Negro, put up. You need to speed up your watch or something, or put your alarm set so you can leave 20 minutes earlier. I don't know, but pull a fire alarm. Yo, you were just giving New Yorkers a bad name with this dumb, stupid. Like really.
Oh my gosh. Before I get distracted for the rest of this show, 24 for the Bengals, 18 for the Buffalo Bills. Bengals led 21-10 at the end of 3. They get a field goal to seal it. Player of the game, Joe Burrow, 31 of 44, 348 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns. His rating 108.9. Meanwhile, for Josh Allen and the Bills, who dropped to 5-4, Josh Allen, 26 of 38, 258 yards. He threw a touchdown and a pick. His rating was 85.2. And here's the problem. He was also their leading rusher, 8 carries for 44 yards. Meanwhile, Burrow only had to rush 5 times. Joe Mixon, who had a 5-yard run to seal the game, brings the Bengals to 5-3. And they have now won 4 in a row after starting the season 1-3. These Bengals are not playing around. They're just not. They ain't playing around anymore. Meanwhile, for the Buffalo Bills, I think circling the wagons is a nice thing that they need to do because they need to figure out something quick. When your quarterback is your leading rusher, there is a problem. Big problem. Cole has said it. Victor has said it. I've said it. I mean, I don't like my quarterback being my leading rusher. And being the leading rusher, he only had 44 rushing yards. Only 44, which highlights for me the problem with the Buffalo Bills. I've said it for 2 years I've said it for 3 years when they had Devin Singletary as their feature back. I will say it now when they have James Cook and they're not using, excuse me, and they're not using him. You have James Cook, use him. Same with Philadelphia. You have DeAndre Swift, use him. I don't know what the hell you're going to do in Dallas. I don't know what the hell they're going to do in Carolina. But when you have a feature back, the quality of a DeAndre Swift, of a James Cook, of a Christian McCaffrey, of a Joe Mixon, use them. Just use them. And in the Raiders' case, of a Josh Jacobs, use them. Sad state of affairs when you have teams that know they can run the football and yet don't trust their offenses to run the football. And that is going to spell impending doom for teams like the Miami Dolphins, for teams like the Buffalo Bills, for teams like the San Diego Chargers, for teams like the Dallas Cowboys, for teams like, and I hate saying that, but I'll say it aloud until they fix it, the Philadelphia Eagles. And to a bigger point, teams like the defending world champion Kansas City Chiefs. Because I'm always of the thinking you got to have that one running back that can break off a big run for you like Joe Mixon did last night for Cincinnati to end the game. You got to have that one player that can end the game when you need to convert a big third down. And your offensive line is chomping at the bit to hit somebody. open a hole for your running back, and end the game. You got to have that mentality. Matter of fact, I'll give you this. When the Cowboys and the Redskins played in the NFC Championship game in 1982, the Redskins had the ball. There was about 4 minutes remaining. They were up 31-17. Joe Gibbs sent in a pass play to Joe Theismann. Russ Grimm said no. They've been talking a lot of bleep, and we're going to run it down their bleeping throats. 50 gut was the call for the remainder of the game. And you know who got for those of you who are old school like you know who got the ball for the Redskins. Hey, diddle, diddle, John Riggins up the middle. Hey, diddle, diddle, DeAndre Swift up the middle. Hey, diddle, diddle, Christian McCaffrey up the middle. Hell, the Bears had two capable backs that could seal a game. Walter Payton and Matt Suey. They haven't had that kind of running back since Thomas Jones. I mean, I love you, Cedric Benson, but thinking how the Bears were thinking back in 2006 when they got to the Super Bowl and they got socked in the mouth by the Indianapolis Colts. You got to have that one running back that will seal the game. And teams today are too afraid to use it, they're too afraid to have it, and they're too afraid to put it out there. Yet you got running backs in the league that can actually do that. Cincinnati showed a lot of heart last night on what turned out to be the final play of the game when Joe Mixon converted a 3rd and 5, got them the first down they needed, run out the clock, let's go home. What happened to that? What happened to that, Buffalo Bills? You had it with two capable running backs, Ronnie Harmon and Thurman Thomas. Like I said with the Redskins, hey, diddle, diddle, John Riggins up the middle. And we're not seeing that anymore. What's the matter? You scared? I say this to all the teams that have a capable running back but are afraid to use him. What's the matter? You scared? Isn't that why you got him in the first place? Look at the Baltimore Ravens. They ran roughshod over the Seattle Seahawks yesterday. And because the Seattle Seahawks don't have a capable running back that can get them those 5 yards, they're going to lose the NFC West. It's sad that it has come to a point where running backs are not being used as running backs, that teams are so afraid to run the football. I mean, hell, Matt Forte with the Bears, good old number 22. Victor and I watched plenty of Bears game. When they were about to seal up a game, what did Victor and I start chanting? Matt Forte, i.e. run the ball, run the ball. Quit being afraid to run the football, will you? Coming up after the break, the Indianapolis Colts stop a 3-game skid and pick off the Carolina Panthers. And I got to do it one more time. In the immortal words of the late, great Dick Clark, in the meantime, remember this.
Bro, you walk through this office building every day. You know what the fire alarm look like. I don't want to hear that.
Oh my
God. Like, you got, I wish you had that button right now.
Got me
with this bull. You got a motherfucker thinking from New York can't read. Don't know red means fire alarm. Like you seen it says don't pull or pull in case of emergency. There was no emergency. Like, oh my God.
Keep
cooking.
Let me calm down.
Because this dude is really a yo.
Keep cooking.
I'm wondering why you even brought this up, man. Like, this is not news. This is not news. This is some stupid trying to make a power play, and he came out looking like a dumb. This is all that is. Let me try to delay this phone. I'm late. Negro, put up. You need to speed up your watch or something, or put your alarm set so you can leave 20 minutes earlier. I don't know, but pull a fire alarm. Yo, you were just giving New Yorkers a bad name with this dumb, stupid. Like, really?
Oh my gosh.
As I said, the incomparable Wise. What can you do? Back after this.
Hey, Eagles fan. Join my man Cool McCain and a host of others as they break down every single game, every single week in an objective manner, and also from a fan's perspective as well. Remember, this cast feels just like you. Nobody likes you. And you don't care. Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles Elite Podcast. Every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and other podcast outlets.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. You kids on the block. New edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
Ready to hang with some fellas who know football? Let's ride. LC Muscles 28.
I think they're the most overrated defense in the league.
Steel Sermon.
We did not trail for a single second.
Tiny Tim.
McCarthy is a bonehead.
A Pizzle 90.
I'm going with my boys. Fins up, baby.
Get ready for the Four Horsemen of Peckham's. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on YouTube. Poppy J.
You got the option to cry for the government. You got the option to protest. You got the option to keep buying. But this is also an option.
Wise El Jefe.
We're the first tech geeks. We're the first gamers. We're the first everything. Everything. Like Gen X's, we are the ones.
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Poppy J and Wise El Jefe. Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
27 after the hour on this late arriving edition of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Greeting you from Indianapolis, Indiana. And as soon as this is done, I got to pack all this stuff up, make sure it's stored away properly, because I got to get ready for the Spurs and the Pacers tonight. And beginning next week, week before Thanksgiving, Friday Night NBA will make its debut on the Snowman Multimedia channel. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. And if you get a chance, please, I beg of you, help this channel grow. And the way to do that, we can always keep improving. If you can make a donation via Cash App, the tag you need. Let me throw this up there. You can support via Cash App. The tag you need is Tallman Dr. K50. That's $ Tallman Dr. K50. The Indianapolis Colts broke their 3-game losing streak in a get-right game that they had to have. They had to have it. And though a muff punt happened, it didn't damage him. Kenny Moore put the game away with not one but 2 pick sixes against Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. One of 49 yards, the other is 69 yards. And the Colts halt their 3-game losing streak and beat the Carolina Panthers, beat them down by a final of 27-13. After they surrendered 37 to the Jaguars, 39 to the Browns in a game that they should have won, but I'll touch on that in a minute, and 38 to the Saints. 3 consecutive games where they've scored, where they allowed, I beg your pardon, the Colts did, at least 37 points. They finally get an opponent that they beat up, beat down, and beat into submission and held them to 13 points. And it shouldn't have even been that. Because at some points during the game, the Colts took their foot off the gas pedal. But Kenny Moore saved the game for the Colts. Kenny Moore gave them 2 pick sixes and sealed the game. Now, the Colts go to Germany to face the Patriots. I'll have that call on the Snowman Multimedia YouTube channel. Then they go into the bye. They can go into the bye at 5-5 with the Buccaneers coming out of the bye before they go to Tennessee. They won't be able to win the AFC South title because they trail the Jaguars in essence by 2 games because the Jaguars swept the series again unless the Jaguars lose out and the Colts win out. And except for a game against Cincinnati and the closer against Houston, and they've already beaten CJ Stroud in Houston in Texas, that could happen. That absolutely could happen. But Kenny Moore picked off the Panthers and sealed the deal for the Indianapolis Colts, and this is a huge win for them. Jonathan Taylor was involved, Gardner Minshew was involved, and Gardner Minshew did not give the ball away. There was a stat that kept popping up on the screen. In the 3 Colts wins, Minshew did not turn the ball over. In the 5 Colts losses, different story. And they were outscored by 6 points coming into yesterday. Now they got this 14-point win, and they face a downtrodden Patriots team, which has been kryptonite for the Indianapolis Colts. Absolute kryptonite. But now you get a Patriots team that is on its last legs. You beat them next week in Germany, you can pretty much put them out of commission. The one thing the Colts cannot do is allow a downtrodden team like the Patriots to hang around. They didn't allow the Panthers to hang around. They took a 20-3 lead. They took a 20-3 lead at the half. And the other points the offense has got to get it together because the only points they scored were on Kenny Moore's 2nd pick 6. And it's like I discussed with the Eagles earlier today. You can't take your foot off the pedal when you have a team down. You just can't do that. You take your foot off the pedal, you're going to have a whole lot of problems. Colts and Patriots next Sunday, 9:30 a.m. I'll have the call on the Snowman Multimedia YouTube channel. First of 2, possibly 3 on that Sunday, pending the Sunday night matchup. Speaking of the Panthers, we'll go to Carolina and put an epitaph on the Panthers season. Yes, I know that there's plenty of games left, but I think the epitaph was written when Bryce Young was drafted. Jay Spivey will be along to discuss after this.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. New Kids on the Block, New Edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
transporter to Hades.
Your butt and gut becomes one.
Join the reformer of hooker whores.
This is my daughter, Placenta Booty Johnson.
Join the bronze car.
Whenever you are in distress, take off your baseball cap and throw it in the air.
Join your very own superhero of broadcasting, Chris Bass.
So whatever color crayon they get, they palm it and do 2 circles, and that translates to, I can beat up black people.
As he takes you through the week's paces in Baseline. Live every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, No, Pacific time zone people, just stay asleep when this is on live and just catch the recording. Oh, I'm sorry. Exclusively on the Chris Bass YouTube channel. Ready to hang with some fellas who know football? Let's ride. LC Muscles 28.
I think they're the most overrated defense in the league.
Steel Sermon.
We did not trail for a single second.
Tiny Tim.
McCarthy is a bonehead.
A Pizzle 90.
I'm going with my boys. Fins up, baby.
Get ready for the 4 Horsemen of Pick'ems. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on YouTube.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Welcome back, 35 after the hour on this afternoon edition of Snowman in the Morning. Glad to have y'all with us. And let's see, there's one more thing that I need to do. Put an epitaph on the Panther season. I think we've already done that. But it feels good to do it again. And I'm looking for something and I can't find it. Dag nabbit. Where is it? I know it's here. I set all this up properly, but I didn't save the setup when I got going this morning while seeing my wife off to Milwaukee. Dang nabbit. I cannot find what I cannot find what I'm looking for. See, Cole got in here yesterday and messed everything. Cole got in here yesterday before I could get in here this morning and messed up everything I was looking for. I can't find it. Hold on. I'm looking for an introduction, folks. That's what I'm doing. And I bet you I looked past it twice. I did. Actually, I looked past it 4 times. Okay, we're ready. Spivey joins us on the Invader Coffee guest line. What's up, Jay? How are you?
How you doing, sir? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Can we finally put an epitaph and a bow on the Carolina Panthers season?
I put a bow on it during the draft in April, May, whatever it was. I don't know what you're doing, but I put it on there a long time ago.
I think I put it on there before the draft even began.
I mean, this again. I know I sound like a broken record, but they used all that draft capital
for what?
And all that, and use all those picks. Nothing against Bryce Young, but my goodness gracious, he has no talent around him whatsoever.
And you know what's bad? It's each week it gets worse. They got lucky last week in their lone win of the season. Then you face a Colts team that was downtrodden. They've given up 3 in a row. They've lost 3 in a row. They've given up 37 points at least in each of the last 3 games. The Jaguars, the Browns and the Jaguars, the Browns, and the Saints, and nothing from Carolina. Nothing.
That's just horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how anybody can sit there and watch them. I mean, I know they have, like every other team, they have their diehard fans, but my goodness, they're just brutal to watch.
I mean, this is how bad it was for me. I set everything was set up for me to go live with the alternative play-by-play I had scheduled, and I couldn't find the darn game for the first 5 minutes. That's how bad it was.
Well, I mean, like you and I were texting back and forth yesterday afternoon, I guess late in the second half, and I know that the league has to balance the schedule by putting on these 405 games.
Yes,
against these 425 games. But you put the Colts and Panthers against the Eagles and Cowboys yesterday. Who on earth watched that?
And it was tough for the Eagles and Cowboys to get flexed out because you had the Bills and the Bengals for Sunday Night Football. Who would you switch that game with? Because the Panthers and Colts played at 4:05. Should have been played at 1. Should have been played at 1 o'clock.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, it's usually a West Coast game that goes to 4:05 instead of two Eastern teams.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually you'll see I don't know, Raiders and Broncos or something, 4:05 or something.
And CBS had that call.
Yeah,
CBS had that call yesterday.
Yeah, and that was their problem. But to put who watched that game compared to the Cowboys and Eagles yesterday?
Oh, there were so many more eyes on the Cowboys and Eagles in Philadelphia. So many
Not
more.
Even close. Not even close.
So many more eyes on that game, and it went down to the wire. You can actually do what CBS has been doing is taking some of the big NFC games and putting it on CBS, because CBS had the NFC package before 1994 anyway, so it wouldn't have been strange to some of the fans.
Those, for the most part, the Cowboys game was the national game yesterday, but there were a few, the few who got the Giants and Raiders game yesterday on Fox as well. But I mean, for the most part, it was Cowboys and Eagles. Nobody watched the Panthers and Colts play.
Nobody watched that. Nobody watched that game.
And you think it's bad this week, and they're a single game this week. Panthers and Colts on Thursday night on Amazon. I mean, Panthers and Bears on Amazon Thursday night. I mean, my goodness, come on!
I'm going to sleep.
Oh my God! Like everybody else.
I already told Jody, because she asked me if I was doing that game Thursday night. I looked at her and said, "No, I'm not touching that one." And she said, "Good call."
That's just tough. And we're gonna see who by far got the best end of that trade.
Mm-hmm. And CJ Stroud, and meanwhile, CJ Stroud's growing up right before our eyes.
Oh yes, absolutely.
CJ Stroud is growing up right before our eyes, man.
I don't think it's all Bryce Young's fault. Just like I said, he has no talent around there, but he's scared to death back there.
No line around him, no running game to depend on, nothing.
He's getting beat up. He's turned the ball over left and right. It's just,
And yesterday, not one but 2 pick sixes by Kenny Moore. 2 on rush throws.
Yep.
On rushed throw, both of them. One at the end of the first half when the Panthers were driving, if you want to call it that, and then the second one, which in essence put the game away. In essence, nothing. It did put the game away because the Panthers couldn't muster any offense.
And not only that,
points.
Not only that, the NFC South is so bad.
It's man, that NFC South has been horrible.
Man, it's
terrible. The division was formed. Since the division was formed in 2002, the NFC South has been horrible. Both South divisions. Let's just say it the way it needs to be said. Both South divisions.
Well, I know the NFL, for the most part, the NFL's done a good job of pretty much everything they've ever done. But the way they drew the AFC South up makes no sense to me.
None.
And I know they kind of went with rivalries because realistically, the Dolphins should be in the South.
Mm-hmm.
But they want to keep them in the East because of all their old former rivalries. And I get that.
Yep.
And let's face it, the Cowboys have no business being in the NFC East, but they kept them in there because of their rivalries.
Because of the rivalries. Absolutely.
Probably
Kept
they
them because of rivalries.
probably should have put the Ravens in the East and moved the Dolphins to the South.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe a couple other moves here and there. But, I mean, the Colts have no business being in the South. I don't care what people say.
None. And to think they ruled the division for a long time, and then Houston popped out of nowhere. Now the Jaguars are popping out of nowhere. When they realigned these divisions in 2002, they did them wrong. Dead wrong.
Wow.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, they had no business realigning anyway. You had everything right there within those divisions.
And I think it's obvious we're heading toward having some sort of hybrid European division here down the line here soon, within the next 10 or 20 years probably.
Mm-hmm.
It's obvious the way that they're going. So they might change the divisions that way, but I don't know how else they could change it.
I don't know how else they can change neither. And all these international games.
Like I said, we're headed toward going to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And they want that other time slot. They want that 9:30 time slot so bad.
You can see it. You can see it with them putting some of the primetime matchups there.
I mean, who would have thought that the Dolphins and Chiefs would have been a major game at 9:30 a.m. yesterday?
Not me. Because when I originally did my graphic for the picks, I said 1 p.m. Arrowhead Stadium. I thought 1 p.m. Arrowhead Stadium, and then someone alerted me that it was being played in Germany. And next week, the Colts go to Germany.
Correct.
They go to Frankfurt, Germany to play a downtrodden Patriots team. They want that 9:30 time slot, and it's awful.
Oh, they definitely want it. Definitely want it. No matter, depending on where they play in Europe, whether it be London or I know they haven't really tried Paris in quite a while, but you got to believe Paris is in the mix. Maybe Barcelona or somewhere in Spain.
Mm-hmm. Because they played in Barcelona. Yep, they played in Barcelona, Spain before.
Munich, Frankfurt.
Mm-hmm. They already got
some of these type cities.
They already got Frankfurt. They got London on lockdown.
Oh, London is definitely. The question is how they're going to do London, because it's obvious they're going to have a team in London there somehow.
And it won't take 10 years for that to happen.
Well, I mean, for all intents and purposes, I know they're doing this renovation to Jacksonville, but for all intents and purposes, Jacksonville is pretty much has a second home in London right now.
Yeah. It seems that it's where they've gotten most of their success lately. But that's going to be a 3-year-long experiment while they blow up and rebuild Alltel Stadium in Jacksonville.
Yes, true.
That's going to be a 3-year experiment. Speaking of experiments, can we end the Drake May experiment for the football Tar Heels? Can we end that, please?
Well, again, I don't know what has happened within the last 3 weeks or whatever it is. But the kid, I'm always been this sentiment. You know, I'm a journalist, but outside of journalism, I've always been an anti-Carolina person.
Mm-hmm.
But having seen him in person, I was a little skeptical last year. But I did see him in person play last year. He is way better than I thought he was.
Yeah.
The kid can play. If he gets the right personnel around him, he could be as good, if not better, than Caleb Williams is.
So the game against Virginia 3 weeks ago, which started this mess, a game that they were favored by double digits.
How you lose to Virginia and Georgia Tech back-to-back weeks when you were as hot as they were at the time?
And both times
it's beyond comprehension to me.
And both times they lost by 4 points.
Yeah, you can't. I don't care who you are. You can't lose to Virginia.
They weren't supposed to lose to Virginia. We had talked on the air. We talked about this, and I said I may have to cover that game. And the playmaker Darnell Solins talked me out of it. I had a gut feeling that was a trap game for North Carolina.
Oh, it was
because
all right.
since 2015, the last time they won anything divisionally or conference-wise, they've always had one game that trapped them and took them out of the rankings and took them out of competition for the ACC title. Virginia felt to me like that game, and Virginia hung 31 on North Carolina that week.
And they've done nothing since then. Virginia, man.
Nothing.
And then Carolina the very next week goes to Atlanta and loses to Georgia Tech.
And allows 46 points.
To Georgia Tech.
They allow 46 points. 14 of them came in the last 2 minutes.
I saw Georgia Tech myself about 3 or 4 weeks ago in person.
Mm-hmm.
They're not any good at all.
No, they're not.
And Carolina has much more talent than Georgia Tech does. I just don't get it. This team should be undefeated right now. Carolina should be undefeated right now.
Mm-hmm. And we know a certain person that wishes they were undefeated and blames everybody and blames everybody else for the losses. But be that as it may, the losses are there to teams they had no business losing to.
On December 2nd, when the ACC championship is in Charlotte, it should be Florida State and North Carolina, but most likely it's going to be Florida State and Louisville, and that stadium won't even be half full.
Mm-hmm.
Will not be half full.
Why do they continue to have it in Charlotte? Can't you just have it on the campus of the higher state?
It's usually mid-range, and it's now the headquarters of the ACC. So, which is a whole other story.
Yeah, moving out of
they've been in Greensboro. They've been in Greensboro forever, and then moved to Charlotte when Jim Phillips took over as commissioner because he didn't like Greensboro.
So
why you moved from Greensboro to Charlotte, other than money, makes no sense to me.
I never understood why he moved it out of Greensboro, because
he didn't like Greensboro.
When I got into media in 1995, I always knew and was familiar with the ACC being based in Greensboro. Period. I'm always familiar with them being based in Greensboro. Now that's not the case. Then COVID happened, which kind of speared everything along. And then the ACC basketball tournament was hopping around instead of staying put. Now you got to build an office. Mm-hmm. Now you got to build an office.
Getting worse now.
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, with the additions of Cal and Stanford and SMU, I mean, you're gonna probably playing Dallas and Houston and San Francisco and LA. I mean, you're in Vegas. You're gonna play all over the place. It's bad enough they're playing in Brooklyn, which is stupid.
And Washington, D.C.
Or St. Petersburg. I mean, nobody cares.
Oh, God. St. Petersburg, Florida.
I've
been to
ACC tournaments in Greensboro, Charlotte, Atlanta, Washington. Nothing against any of the rest of them. I enjoyed all of them. But it's by far the best in Greensboro. It's not even close.
It's not. It's not even close. I've covered a couple of tournaments in Greensboro at the Coliseum, even in the midst of the renovation, because the renovation was completed in 1995 when they expanded the seating capacity. Then they built the backcourt club. They built the annexes. And by the time 1995 got here, everybody was descending on Greensboro. And that was the way it was for the longest time.
And they just do the best job of hosting the tournament. They just do. And it's granted, it's not the biggest city. It's not the biggest city, and it's not the smallest city in the world either.
No,
but they do a great job of hosting the tournament.
It's perfect. It's perfect. It's a perfect place to hold the ACC tournament. Now, with the ACC championship game for football being held in Charlotte, you're just lending more credence to why the headquarters should be based in Charlotte, when I don't think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you've covered the conference a lot longer than I don't think they've sold out Bank of America Stadium since the football championship game has played Charlotte.
Maybe once or twice, maybe a couple of those times when Clemson was there. Of course, they've owned the conference lately, but let's face it, with the way Clemson's owned the conference lately, it's sort of been like an appetizer before they get into the college football playoff. I mean, so a lot of fans would wait until the playoffs started to go to games.
Yep.
And now Clemson's really struggling, other than they did play pretty well this past Saturday, but.
Well, they're not going to. It'll be a half. I wouldn't be surprised if they closed off the upper bowl.
I don't see that stadium anywhere being near full when they play.
No, it's not. No, it's not. A baseball note before we close. Craig Counsell,
I saw that. How about that?
Craig Counsell is going to manage the Cubs.
What the heck? I thought it was pretty much between the Brewers and the Mets, but the Cubs swooped in.
Well, Craig Counsell's managerial career has been ruined.
Boy, wait till and you know how much of a robbery that is. Wait till he goes to Milwaukee the first time.
Oh, they will boo him lustily. He brought them 3 division titles, 3 playoff appearances, and now he's going to languish.
Well, you can sort of see the writing on the wall. That first of all, they have not given him a contract, which makes no sense to me. And then on Saturday, they traded Mark Canada to Detroit. That tells you can sort of see the writing on the wall that they're about ready to break this team down there for some stupid reason.
Yeah, and they're going to be rebuilding for the next 4 or 5 years.
They don't need to. They don't need to.
No, they don't. They're going to be the St. Louis Cardinals. They're going to be the St. Louis Cardinals. Because after the Cardinals lost 3 of their biggest pieces, they straight up went into tank mode. Now you got Craig Counsell managing the Cubs.
I think with a few pieces here and there, because the Cardinals are going to spend some money this offseason.
Oh, yeah.
I think the Cardinals are not far away from being pretty good again.
I hope so.
But the Brewers are a different situation because this is a small market city, but for the last 8 or 10 years, the owners actually spent money. Now it appears he's just going to tear it down and start from scratch. You can't do that. How you don't give Craig Counsell a contract is beyond me.
He's been their most successful manager since Harvey Keene. Who doesn't remember Harvey's wall bangers? Ben Ogilvy, Cecil Cooper, Pete Vukovich on the mound. I'm trying to remember their catcher, Ted Simmons. That's the name I was looking for. Ted Simmons, Cecil Cooper, as mentioned, Ben Ogilvy, Storman Gorman Thomas,
Molitor,
Paul Molitor. I mean, Craig Counsell has been the most successful manager in Milwaukee since Harvey Keene. And they're going to tear it down and start over. And my question is why? They don't have many assets in their minor league divisions.
Well, they've probably overreached how good they've been anyway. I mean, they've had their kind of calling card the last couple of years has been their pitching staff, but it's looking like they're all hurt right now. So who knows how good they're going to be? But to not give him a contract extension, come on,
to not even try.
No.
To not even try.
But a bigger question might be, what is going on with the Mets? Because I thought for sure if he were to leave the Brewers, he was going to go to the Mets, and he could have given him millions of dollars to manage there. And he turns it down. That tells you what little he thinks of the Mets.
And the Mets are going to be struggling even longer now. The Mets are going to be struggling for a longer time.
Yeah, they're talking about being competitive by 25. I don't see how that's possible.
I don't see it either. Even with the polar bear being there. Jay Spivey joins us.
Well, they haven't signed him yet either.
Nope. And they're not going to. I don't think they're going to. They're going to let him play his contract
the
out.
The analytics geeks seem to think he's not a good fit at first base. Well, who else do they have?
Does anybody trust their eyes anymore?
Nobody does.
Does anybody trust their eyes anymore? Folks, these analytics have got to go in baseball. I think that's how we'll lead off next week. Jay Spivey joins us as he does every single Monday, talking all kinds of sports. Thank you, Jay. Love you, brother. Talk to you in 7 days.
Thank you, sir. Have a good week.
My description of the New York Mets right now. I gotta go. Have a great day. God bless. Remember to make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, they're simply not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. We are, and we hope y'all are too. Thank you for sticking with me. We'll be back to our normal time tomorrow. So long, everybody.